Hey dudes, welcome to Splat from the Past, the only 80s themed horror and sci-fi show where things can get totally radical. Now today is the beginning of Halloween October month. This month I will be interviewing a lot of people in the world of horror, and today we kick it off with Harrison Smith, the director of Camp Dread and Death House. I'm going to be talking to him just a little bit. I'm not too familiar with his films, but I've been aware of him the last couple of years. I've gotten to interview a lot of people on this show and meet people at conventions who have worked with him and have spoken very highly about him, and I'm pretty excited. Got him on the show today and stuff. We're also going to talk about horror, what he thinks makes a good horror film, and just his influences and stuff. And I'm just pretty excited going to have him on today to kick off Halloween October month on Splat from the Past. It's going to be just fucking awesome. So, yeah, here is my interview with Harrison Smith. Hi, Harrison.
Hi, this is he.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you. How are you?
I am great. Thank you for taking the time today, man.
Of course, not a problem at all. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, my pleasure. I've been aware of you the last couple of years that I've been pursuing the horror biz. A lot of people I've interviewed and gotten to know have high praise of you as a director. And
well, thank you.
Oh, absolutely. And so that's why I wanted to interview you today and stuff. And I'd like to go back to the beginning. So what was the first horror movie you saw?
Well, you mean like as when I was a kid?
Yeah.
I'm going to say that the first movie to really introduce me to horror, probably Mad Monster Party.
Mad Monster Party.
Yeah, that was a kid's movie, but it had all the classic Universal monsters in it. And then right after that, I think I upgraded somewhere to, Abbott and Costello meet Frankenstein. But, the first real, then I grew up on a diet also of the classic Universal monsters. My grandmother, I spent a lot of time with her growing up, and she was just, all into, Karloff and Peter Lorre and Lugosi. So, I grew up on all of them, on the Wolfman and the Mummy, and, I would say that the simplest answer is the classic Universal monsters, because that's the common thread all those films have in common.
Wow, I wish my first horror movie experience had been that. When I was a year old, my parents showed me The Shining, and they lived to regret it.
I have my own opinions on The Shining, but I don't think that's good. Oh, how old were you?
I was only a year old.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah, no. You shouldn't be watching that.
No. It took me till I was at least 8 to watch it again. And after that, they let me watch. I didn't discover the Universal ones until I was maybe 9 or 10. But after that, they let me watch Ghostbusters and Gremlins and stuff like that.
Gremlins was a traumatic film for kids.
Yeah. Well, funny thing is,
starts out all Christmassy and nice, and then halfway through those little fuckers turn into Smurfs on acid.
Yeah. Well, the funny thing is, that movie actually did not traumatize me until I became an adult, because then I don't know, from an adult perspective, I could see how scary they were, but as a kid, I thought they were cool. I wanted to hang out with them when I was a kid. Yeah.
Well, the monsters themselves, like the actual gremlins, not the mogwai.
Yeah.
I agree with you. They weren't so scary. It was what the mother does to them in the kitchen that was pretty traumatic.
Yeah. It was pretty bad.
Blowing one up in the microwave and, sticking another one in the blender, and it's like, holy shit.
Well, if it wasn't for that, we'd have no PG-13.
That's true, yeah.
So how old were you when you saw Mad Monster Party?
Oh, dude, dude. I had to be like 4 or 5.
Okay, so not too young from when I saw The Shining.
No, but a year is still a big difference. I mean, 1 year compared to 5. Still, I think, yeah, I agree. There's probably not much difference. Scary is scary.
Yeah. It's funny, a couple of years ago when I met Zach Galligan at a horror convention, he went on this 5-minute rant about how the collective consciousness relates to fear in your earliest memory. And then he was telling me about how he remembers being terrified by the mobile in his crib when he was only like 18 months old or something. And I thought this was pretty cool for like the first 30 seconds he was telling me this, but he went on about it for 5 minutes. And as soon as he was done, I was like, can I get a picture with you, sir? And then so I can get the fuck out of here.
Well, I know Zach, and we're Twitter buddies online.
Oh, me too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
That's funny.
Yeah. He's a nice guy, though.
Yeah, he is. He's a really nice guy.
But did the movie impact you to the point where you wanted to work in horror movies?
No. In fact, the movie that made me want to make movies was Jaws.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw that at 8 years of age. My mother took me to the Graham Theater over in East Stroudsburg, stood in line. My mom wanted to see it. My mom wasn't sure that it was a good idea to take me.
Mm-hmm.
I really, really wanted to see it. And I loved it. And it was the first time that I remember, as a boy, seeing a movie that, the audience screamed and they jumped, but at the end, they stood up and they applauded.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's still
That made an impact. And when I walked out of the movies, I still remember. I said to my mom in the parking lot, I want to make movies like that one day. And my mom was like, well, okay, you got to work hard. And, all this is the mom's speech,
Yeah. Yeah. That's still a favorite of mine. Jaws still holds up.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So what are your favorite horror movies?
Wow. What do you want, like a top 5 or something?
Top 5, top 10, yeah.
Yeah, I'll give you a top 10, because there are a number of them, and some of them are pretty varied. Fright Night, 1985. Tom Holland's Fright Night is one of my favorites.
Love it.
I don't count Jaws as a horror movie. That's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's more of an adventure film.
Mm-hmm.
I know there are horrific elements to it, but I don't see it as a horror movie. But in addition to that, I would say definitely Fright Night, 1985. Psycho 2. I mean, I love all 3 Psycho films.
Right.
But Psycho 2 really stood out to me, I think, because when I went to see that, I fully expected to hate it. And I ended up loving it so much. I walked out of the theater, walked to a bank of payphones in the mall, called my mom, and said, I'm going to watch this again. I'll be home later. And I went back in and watched the next show.
Mm-hmm.
So I think because I just so expected it to suck, and it didn't suck. It was great. I mean, Tom Holland's script is just fantastic for it. So I would say, Fright Night. Trying to think what else. Psycho 2. I love Lake Mungo. Lake Mungo is one of my favorites. I don't know if you've seen it, but it's brilliant.
I've heard of it, yeah.
Terribly underrated film, and just a great motion picture. Very, truly scary. After it was over, I Facebooked the film's director, and I said, congratulations. Your movie made me, for the first time in 25 years, put the lights on before I go to bed.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I'm a big fan of John Carpenter. I think The Thing is his masterpiece.
Yeah.
I love The Thing. I just, I could sit and watch The Thing all day. It's just such a brilliant film. And I was one of those that loved The Thing before it became cool to love The Thing. I remember going to see it in 1982, and I think it was like me and 2 other people in the theater, because everybody was seeing E.T.
Yeah.
But I walked out going, I mean, Botine's effects are just amazing.
Oh, yeah.
To this day. I mean, mean, the work, I mean, it's just such a masterwork. It really is. It's such a brilliant exercise in paranoia. I loved it. I also think Invasion of the Body Snatchers, 1978, the Donald Sutherland version.
Right.
And the reason why, it's Philip Kaufman's movie, works on so many levels, but the fact is it's come true. That's the problem that I had with it. It came true.
Right.
We have been invaded, by a mindset that if we don't go along, everybody screams and shouts outrage and outs you and jumps on, you know what I mean? Like, it's come true. So there's that. Trying to think what else here. The Fog, the original.
Oh, yeah.
1980. And I love The Abominable Dr. Five with Vincent Price. In my opinion, that's Price's best movie.
Mm-hmm.
And, I know Theater of Blood and a bunch of others, but the Abominable Dr. Five is just so stellar. Such a quirky, unique film for its time. And, I was a little panicked when I heard that Johnny Depp was in talks to remake it, and he was going to play Five. And I was like,
oh, God.
Yeah, that's exactly. Oh, God. I think that's all gone by the wayside. At least I really hope so.
Yeah.
So, I'm trying to think what else. I mean, there's so many. And then also what I consider a horror film that people don't. I mean, I think One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest is a horror film. Social horror film, because Nurse Ratched is real. There are real Nurse Ratcheds out there.
Right.
Like, she's a monster. And there are people out there like that. So,
yep.
I would say that I really liked High Tension. That was one of my favorites. I've always enjoyed High Tension, the French film.
Mm-hmm.
And I loved Dawn of the Dead, Romero's Dawn of the Dead. I thought remake was good, but nothing will ever top the original.
Yes, I agree with you.
So much to break, so much ground with that, and and I always still feel bad. George Romero passed, and man, he just still didn't get what he deserved. The Walking Dead is all owed to George Romero. Everything about The Walking Dead. And what pisses me off is when I hear these fans of The Walking Dead, and I say, well, did you like George Romero's zombie film? Who? Jesus Christ.
Oh, yes.
You don't even know what you're watching. You don't even get it. You're all acting like The Walking Dead is something fresh and original and new. Jesus Christ, George Romero's been doing it since the 50s.
Yep.
And you get people going, what? Really? What? So that's also another problem with horrors. People don't understand its history, And I think also sometimes even the studios don't. Look, that whole misfire with rebooting the Universal monsters, with the Mummy, and what a dumb, dark universe thing to do. There was so many better ways to do that, to try to retool these classic gothic kind of horror films into action movies.
Right.
Stupid. Like, who thought that was a good idea? Man, I'm so glad that crashed and burned. That kind of just, nature took over on that one.
Yeah.
I'm glad that it did. Because it was stupid. I got 20 minutes into the Mummy, and when Dr. Jekyll is walking us through a laboratory dedicated, and I see the creature's hand, I'm like, oh, come on. If you're going to remake them, then do something right, but don't do this. Try not to make it Marvel meets the monsters, because that's what they were trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
They were trying to cash in on the Marvel craze and make their own Marvel franchise with the classic monsters. It was stupid.
Yeah.
I'm glad that kind of crashed and burned. I don't think we're going to be seeing much more of that idea.
I hope not.
Yeah, I hope not too. So I think that's a good smattering of what I enjoy. There's so many, there are quiet ones. Like, I'm a fan of Let's Scare Jessica to Death. I think it's this great, moody, creepy horror film that, it's not the greatest horror film ever made, but there's something about it I really enjoy. And I think, Neil Marshall's Dog Soldiers or The Descent are brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
There's so much. I mean, American Werewolf in London, just because it's such a great movie, but also because of the groundbreaking effects by Rick Baker, and there's a lot out there,
Right.
I still say that Cujo is underrated. It's one
Yeah.
of my favorites, and Dee Wallace got totally nomination for Cujo. She deserved at least a nomination for that film.
Yes, absolutely.
It was so well made, so well edited. Neil Travis edited. Neil Travis was also the editor on Jaws 2, which, again, I mean, Vera had saved Jaws, on her editing skills. So, we turn around and Neil Travis really did a bang-up job editing Jaws 2. I mean, it's tough to edit around a big, stiff mechanical shark,
right.
Try to convince people it's real. Especially now when we have films that so realistically portray sharks through computer imagery that, they did a hell of a job to tell a pretty gripping story. I really do. I think Jaws 2 is often wrongfully maligned. It's not a bad film. It's not Jaws. That's its problem. But it was not a crappily made film like Jaws 3 and 4. I mean, it was made with high production value. It didn't have the story. It didn't, there were a lot of things that you can definitely take away from it, but it still had great performances. It was well put together. They spent the proper money on it, and they delivered a good, solid sequel instead of a ripoff.
Right.
Like The Meg, which I couldn't stand this summer. So
I haven't seen that one yet. But yeah, oh my...
We're not missing anything.
Yeah. Oh my God, yeah. My favorites, Dawn of the Dead, 1978, Friday the 13th, the original, 1980, Dracula, 1931, The Howling, this very underrated Charlie Band movie called The Alchemist. Did you ever see that?
No, I've never seen it, but I know of it.
Yeah, it's a very underrated movie. For some reason, he never talks about it, and there's not much written about it on the internet. All it says is that it was shot in 1981. It came out in 86, and I don't know why.
I knew it was an 80s film, yeah.
Yeah. I met Charlie's brother Richard at a convention, and he told me he didn't even know much about it himself. But he said that he remembered writing the music for it, and it was inspired by Little House on the Prairie, the music. Yeah. And Mirror Mirror. You know that movie?
I'm trying to think. I haven't seen it. I'm trying to just place it in my head. Well, go ahead.
Yeah, Karen Black is in it, and Yvonne DiCarlo. It's a great movie. Larry Cohen's The Stuff.
Oh yeah, The Stuff. Yep.
Oh God, I went to a convention, and I have one of the actual stuff cups from the movie that I bought from Larry Cohen last year, and
oh wow.
Yes, he kept all 2,000 of those in his closet for 30 years. He brought them out 3 years ago for the 30th anniversary, and I got one of the last ones he had.
That's great.
Yes, and I was bringing it to a convention for Paul Servino to sign, and this millennial who's like 20 years old was like, "What's the stuff?" And I was like, "You're at a fucking horror convention and you don't know what the stuff is?" Yeah, oh my God, I was pissed off about that. And
it's amazing, how people just don't know not even with horror, just people just don't know the history of much of anything anymore.
No.
Just everything has to be right in front of us, and if it's not explained in 30 seconds or less, it's boring. Attention spans have just shrunk astronomically, even from when I was a teenager, and they weren't that great then.
I know. It's just, it's crazy. I mean, you got this information right in front of you called the internet, and people just don't use it to their advantage.
Oh, I know. Like, even online when I tweet to people, I'll be like, you should could you check this out? And they'll be like, yeah, when I get some time. It's like, dude, it's a link. All you have to do is click it.
Yeah.
Okay, what are you doing that's so important?
Yeah, I just don't get it. But Creepshow and Nightmare on Elm Street.
I love Creepshow.
Yeah, love it. It's the ultimate horror anthology movie. And Nightmare on Elm Street 3, Dream Warriors.
Oh yeah.
That's my favorite of all the Nightmare on Elm Street movies.
Really, of all of them, that's the one?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I love that one. What type of horror movies do you lean towards?
I think that comes from, my grandmother and all that growing up. I'm not into, I appreciate them, and I see where, they have a fan base, but I'm not into, like, the torture porn movies. I'm not into Saw. I'm not into, just watching, 90 minutes of people just being objectively tortured for, you know what I mean? Like, that's just not my thing. The minute you see, like, on Netflix, a girl was held in the basement and sexually, but why do I want to watch that? That's how I look at it.
I'm a torture porn guy, but I'm not into Saw either.
Yeah, look, I understand, you know what I mean? And there's some films, like I said, like High Tension, that could be easily labeled as a torture porn film. And I guess arguably you could call the Friday the 13th movies torture porn if you wanted to.
Right.
For me, it was just, when it gets too close to real life, I guess, like, we know that people are kidnapped and tortured. We know that. Like, I don't want to spend 90 minutes watching that. For me, it's like, give me monsters, give me ghosts, give me demons. I'll have fun with that. Give me some zombies once in a while, although, even though I've made a zombie movie, I'm, not really into them. For me, it's kind of like, like I said, I enjoyed George's stuff, but that was back in the day for me, but I'm not a big zombie fan. Like, for The Walking Dead, for me, it's just like it's the same damn thing every week.
Yeah.
And all you get is these people online going, oh, it's Sunday night, I wonder what's going to happen. I don't know. What do you think? You think somebody might die? Some zombies are going to show up? Like, what do you mean? You can't wait to see what happens. It's the same goddamn thing every week.
Yeah.
Their big thing to get you to watch is which major character is going to die off now. Like, that's what they do. So it's like, okay, I guess. It's well made. Gail Ann Hurd, you know what I mean? Like, it has nothing to do with the production value of it. And if people enjoy it, so be it. But just don't, try to tell me that this is something fresh and new. And it's not. Like I said, Romero was doing it, 30, 40 years ago.
Yeah, at least with The Evil Dead, at least something new and funny and exciting is going to happen.
Oh, yeah, Raimi did something really cool with that. He kind of reinvented a subgenre, and we had it was a lot of fun. It really was. His Evil Dead movies were a blast. There's nothing, and again, if it gives somebody a good time, so be it. Except for Jaws the Revenge. No one may enjoy Jaws the Revenge. There should be a constitutional amendment that no one may enjoy Jaws the Revenge.
I'm one of the few who did.
I don't know if I can continue this interview.
I just like bad movies, that's all.
Beyond that, I wrote a cinema piece. I have a cinema blog. I don't know if you knew that I write about the effects of cynicism in filmmaking. And that's my point. Jaws the Revenge is not a bad movie. It's just a piece of shit.
Right.
Jaws 3 was a bad movie, but it wasn't made by people who intended it to be bad. That's the difference. There was no intention to make a good movie with Jaws the Revenge. That's the problem. Does that make sense?
Yeah. It makes total sense.
Look, Jaws 3 was made by Joe Al. It had Carl Gottlieb, two veterans from the Jaws film. It was just that Joe wasn't a great director. He's a wonderful production designer, but he just wasn't a good director. And let's face it, the script really wasn't all that good. They hired Richard Matheson to write the original script. He wrote it. They kicked that out, and we got what we did. But I don't think anybody sat around the table and said, let's make a real shitty movie. I think it just turned out that way. But Jaws the Revenge, there was no intention whatsoever to make a good movie. They knew by the numbers, Jaws made X, Jaws 2 made X of X, Jaws 3 still made X of X of X. There's still money to wring out of this franchise, and that means there are a bunch of stupid people out there that will come see whatever we put up on the screen as long as we call it Jaws. And that's exactly what we got. They sent those sharks down to the Bahamas before there was even a script ready. I think his name was Henry Millar, who made the sharks. He said they took my sharks down, and we're sitting down there waiting for the production to come. We don't even know what they're supposed to do.
Yeah.
It was Sid Sheinberg, who was the head of Universal. Hey, he got a paycheck for his wife, for Lorraine Gary, right? You bring her back and trot her out like Jamie Lee Curtis in Halloween, like, oh, it's going to be good. Like, great, you know what I mean? We got Lorraine Gary, got Mr. Brody.
Yep.
So they got a paycheck out of the deal. Michael Caine got a paycheck. They all got a vacation and got out of California for the winter.
Mm-hmm.
That's what Jaws the Revenge was. Jaws the Revenge is not a movie. It's a tax write-off.
Yep.
That's my problem with Jaws the Revenge. My problem with the film is it's just that it's not a movie. It's just a piece of junk. Jaws 3 is a movie, not a great one, not a good one even, but it's a movie. It was made by people that tried to do their best, I guess, but it just didn't turn out that way. The Jaws the Revenge, there was no pretense whatsoever.
Yeah, it was directed by Joseph Sargent, who directed the horror anthology movie Nightmares, which is a decent horror anthology movie. Not great, but it's decent, you know? Yeah,
it was, Nightmares came out on the heels of Creepshow, of course. They wanted to rip off Creepshow.
right.
The anthology thing had come back a little. Tales from the Dark Side was coming back. The Twilight film was in, I think, its second incarnation at that time.
Right.
So, anthology was back. Cat's Eye had come out around that time, if you remember, and,
Yep.
it was back for a little bit. Nightmares isn't bad. It's not great, but let's face it, I doubt it really tops many people's top 10 list,
Yeah.
It was more of an 80s thing, So,
Absolutely.
Jaws the Revenge, that's what inspired me to write my cinema blog, because it's just such a cynical piece of garbage. It was made for absolute contempt for its audience. That's the problem. They said, everybody talks about Ed Wood
Yeah.
being the worst, filmmaker ever. I don't think Ed ever sat in his apartment painting his pie tins or hubcaps going, how can I fuck the audience?
Yeah.
He never did that. He just wasn't a good director. He really thought he was making art. And we know, bless his heart, he wasn't. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
He really thought he was a good filmmaker, and he was trying to do something. And I'm not talking about even the romanticized version of, Johnny Depp and Ed Wood. I'm talking about, the real Ed Wood. I think he really tried to be a good filmmaker, and he just didn't have the chop.
Yeah.
With Jaws the Revenge, come on. How do you sit around and pitch that story with a straight face? Okay, the shark is psychic. Right there, I would be like, you're fired. Get out of here.
Yeah. Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
The shark wants revenge on the people that killed it. Well, what shark? What are we talking about? They blew up the first one. Did it come back? Did it piece itself together? Did the second one not get electrocuted as we saw it all burned up? What are we talking about here? They obviously totally got rid of Jaws 3 in that timeline. But what are we talking about? Is it a new shark? And if it is, why does it want revenge? Did it know the other shark? You see what I mean? See how ridiculous this whole thought line goes? I'm talking about something as if it's really serious. It's stupid.
Yeah, it's really it is stupid.
Stupid. And they knew it. They knew it was stupid. That's why they threw it out at the end of the summer. Just like they did Jaws 3. They knew they had a stinker on their hands. They didn't have any test screenings, and they didn't show any previews to critics.
Right.
Sign right there. They did a hit and run. Throw it out. Jaws and Jaws 2 opened this summer.
Mm-hmm.
Jaws 3 and 4 closed this summer. And that was, by the time bad word of mouth gets around, we can get this sucker out of the theaters and still make a profit. And both films made a profit. In fact, Jaws 3, if I'm not mistaken, was just behind Return of the Jedi.
Mm-hmm.
Making money that year.
It sure was.
When they were yanking it out of theaters, it was still making money.
Yep.
Now, granted, a lot of people were walking out pissed off, and I was one of them, but hey, they got their money, right? The hit and run.
Right.
Now, with the internet, it's harder to do.
Yeah.
Can, type right on their phones, right from the movie, hey, this thing sucks, stay away from it. But back then, it took a good 2-3 weeks for the word of mouth to get around that the movie was a dog.
Mm-hmm. Do you remember the stand-up comedian Richard Jeni?
Oh, yeah, he did a brilliant stand-up bit on Jaws the Revenge.
Yep, the first time he went on The Tonight Show, he did that bit, and it's the only time he ever did it. He was a guy, he could do 4 sets in one night and never the same material. He was brilliant.
Yeah, he was good.
And
he's gone.
Yeah, and that bit, oh my God, it was a well-constructed 8.5-minute bit that...
Oh, he's perfect. And in fact, I cite that bit in my cinema article.
Mm-hmm.
Because know what Jaws the Revenge is, just watch Richard Jennings' bit. And
Yeah.
that's what I mean. The movie is totally indefensible. Like, there's no way anybody could ever defend it that it's a good movie. It's indefensible. It's terrible.
Yeah.
And anybody who thinks, like, oh, I think that's really good. I mean, look, you can like it because it's bad, but, I mean, to sit there and actually think that this is a good movie, well, then you don't belong watching movies.
Yeah.
Because you're being duped on so many levels. In fact, somebody was circulating around something on Twitter. I don't know where this came from, but somebody did CGI touch-ups of Jaws the Revenge.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the Daily Jaws actually posted these. And the shark looks pretty real. I don't know what they did, but I have no idea what they did. Most of all, I don't know why anybody would spend the fucking time to do this, okay? Because they were posting all these, and I just had one simple reply. You can't polish a turd.
Yes.
I don't care how real the shark looks. It's terrible.
Yep, it sure is.
Terrible film. You know, you're wasting your time doing this, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It's like putting a kitchen in an outhouse. Why would you want to do that?
Yeah. Exactly. Oh my God. Do you think that in today's horror, in terms of originality, has become antiquated?
What do you mean, like, in the way of antiquated?
In terms of, like, do you think it's become kind of a dying art form because everything's been done?
No. I don't think that at all. And, you know, that's always what people like to do. Oh, everything has been done. You know, I mean, you can always get a fresh twist on something. Or no, I don't think that at all. I just think what we've got is, I mean, look, I'm not against remakes.
Right.
They're decent, but some films don't need one. Do we need to remake The Godfather because it's quote-unquote dated? Again, have a cinema piece on that. Did we need a Ghostbusters remake? No. What are you going to do? You're just swap it out, put some women in it, and then you can't criticize it because then you're a misogynist.
Right.
You know, if you criticize it, you're anti-woman. No, the movie just sucked. It wasn't funny. And you wasted 4 very funny women.
Yep.
You know? You wasted their talent. It was a gas-guzzling dinosaur that should have never gotten out of, you know, the pitch process. If you're going to do anything, and then you have Bill Murray going, oh, well, you know, I never came back for a Ghostbusters 3 because the quality just wasn't there. But you turned around and you did a cameo in this piece of garbage?
Yep.
How much did they throw at you to do this? It couldn't be more than what they were offering you to actually do Ghostbusters 3. Well, now Harold Ramis is dead, and we have this shitty Ghostbusters 2016 movie, and Bill Murray's talking about quality? Don't give me that. Don't give me that at all. The time that Bill Murray was in Ghostbusters 2016, he could have done a cameo in Ghostbusters 3 and passed it on to the girl.
Right.
Right? The old cast could have just passed on. The time that the old cast is in that film in totally unrelated cameos, they could have just passed on their work to the girls, and then half the hatred. Everybody's like, oh, everybody hated it because women were in it. No, they didn't. You were fucking with people's memories. This Ghostbusters is a movie that didn't need to have an update or a remake. If you're going to do anything with Ghostbusters, give it a sequel.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody forgets just how shitty Ghostbusters 2 was. You know, they're all Ghostbusters. Everybody forgets how bad the sequel was. That was what turned Bill Murray off.
Yeah.
Ghostbusters 2 was such a load of garbage, and everybody thinks, no, it's great. No, it's not. No. Ghostbusters 2 was everything the first one wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
A big, lumbersome, unfunny movie with a lot of special effects. Well, that's what we got with the remake. And look at that marketing campaign on it. They released that first trailer, which almost makes it out to be a sequel. Doesn't it say something like 30 years ago they saved the world? Well, wait a minute. Who? This is a whole new story.
Mm-hmm.
So you got people thinking, oh, well, maybe it's connected to the others. But they didn't know what to do with it.
Yeah.
You had a lousy cast where, well, how many dance numbers are in that stupid movie?
Yeah. I was like, what the fuck?
3 dance numbers? Who told Paul Feig that was funny?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Who said, hey, here's an idea, let's have 3 dance numbers. You know, but because we have 4 doing one of them,
Mm-hmm.
What a dumb movie. You know? What a dumb, stupid remake. What a waste of money. You know? Holy crap. It has nothing to do that it had a female cast. The movie just sucked.
Yeah.
You know?
That's
what I would have said when people were complaining about it on the internet. I don't know why they hate our movie. How about because it sucks?
Yeah.
How about you make a comedy that isn't funny?
Yep.
It takes no risk. Comedy should be dangerous. You know? And we don't do that anymore. Everybody's offended, so we have to make everything very vanilla. Because somebody's outraged over LGBT, and another one's outraged over race, and then another one's outraged because of whatever personal cause they have. Everybody's outraged. How can you make comedy with outrage? That's why Blazing Saddles would never get made today.
Yeah. Yeah, I just did not. I was so turned off by the Ghostbusters remake. I laughed twice during the entire movie, and that was it. And
no, that's more than I did.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'd rather watch Ghostbusters 2 than the remake any day.
I would. I watched Ghostbusters 2 again before I watched that remake.
Yeah. And I interviewed Robin Shelby, who played Slimer in Part 2, and she played Slimer's girlfriend in the remake. And a very nice lady. I feel kind of bad that I had to tell her that I didn't like the remake and stuff, and I could kind of hear it in her voice that her feelings were hurt. But yeah, she was a very nice lady.
Yeah, it has nothing to do personally with her. It's just it wasn't a good movie, you know.
Yeah.
If you're 6 years old, Ghostbusters 2016 is great.
Mm-hmm.
Again, if you're 6 years old, you'll think Marmaduke is terrific.
Yeah. Exactly.
You know, it's on the same level. So, no, I think there's a lot of great stuff going on with horror. You have to exclude some of the crappy remakes, but, you know, there's some really interesting and great things. I'm excited for the new Halloween. You know?
Yeah.
I think it's the first time in a while for a Halloween-era movie that I'm excited about. I can't really say I was blown away by it last year, and I waited all year for that, like many people, and I walked out going, yeah, I guess. It wasn't bad, but it was kind of just an R-rated Stranger Thing.
Yeah.
You know? They took out everything in the book that makes it unique. You know? They just went, it was a monster movie. And that's fine. I love monster movies, and it was well made, and I was thoroughly entertained, and I will gladly shell out the $10 to go see Part 2. I have no problem with that.
Yeah.
But I am looking forward to Halloween because I think this is the sequel that should have been made all along.
Mm-hmm.
You know? I mean, I know I'm personal friends with Tommy Lee Wallace, who was on Halloween 1 and 3, and I've talked to, you know, other people, you know, with the film, and they all said the same thing. Halloween 2 in 1981 was never supposed to happen. Michael was never meant to be her brother.
Yeah.
You know, they created all that because Halloween 2 is a crappy sequel, dude. It's a crappy sequel, and it gets a free pass because Jamie Lee Curtis comes back in it, and Donald Pleasance returns. It's a retread. It's what Tommy Lee Wallace himself called the anti-Halloween. It has gory, bloody special effects. You get a hypodermic needle in the eyeball. All the stuff the first one didn't have to do.
Mm-hmm.
John Carpenter himself has publicly admitted he's no fan of Halloween 2.
Right.
You know? It was a shitty sequel.
It sure was.
And yet everybody gives it a free pass because, well, Jamie Lee Curtis is in it, and, you know, if they went back to the original Haddonfield story, it's like, so what? That doesn't mean anything, so why does Jaws 2 get done? Like, they went back to Amity, same shark, right? You get another great white, you get everything. What's the problem with Jaws 2? But Halloween 2 is considered a masterpiece by some? I don't think so.
No.
And most of all, Halloween 2 is boring.
Yep.
It's really boring. It's just a lot of people sitting around waiting for something to happen. That's it. You know?
Yeah.
More of Thomas Pleasant stumbling around. Oh, death has come to your little town. Yeah, okay, we saw this all in the first one, and it was done much better.
Yep. I only like Part 4. That's the only one I like of the sequels.
The only one of the sequels that I enjoy is Halloween 3 because it's not a sequel.
Yeah.
Halloween 3 total separate gigs. They just panicked in the end and slapped Halloween 3 over the top of it. If it was just called Season of the Witch, it would have turned into a culty, kind of nifty little Halloween movie. But they slapped Halloween 3 over it, and they didn't tell anybody that it had nothing to do with Michael Myers. And I know I sat in the theater waiting for Michael to show up, and he never shows up. Then they show the commercial for Halloween on TV, and you're like, oh. And then there were some people that were dumb enough to think, well, that's what it was. Michael Myers was a robot. No, he wasn't a robot. This has nothing to do with those movies.
Yeah.
It ended with Halloween 2. That's it. They're calling it Halloween 3 because that's when you realize as a kid, wow, that's a cynical cash grab.
Yep.
That's what that is. The studio fucked you. And you don't even realize it. You handed over your money, and then you're told you will like this. Like with Halloween 2, it was that. You will like this because everybody came back. I guess. But it really isn't that scary. Kind of dull.
Yeah.
You know? But I know people out there listening will be like, oh, you're a jackass. No, that's not true at all. Because Halloween fans have a very blind faith to everything. And if you start looking at the series on a critical level and looking at it from film, they don't hold up. You know? And they introduced, this Thorn Cult or something like that by part 5. There's a Thorn Cult and, all that. Like, can't Michael just be bad? Like, why do we need an explanation for everything? How about he's just evil? That was what Donald Pleasance said in the first one, right? He's just evil. He's bad Satan. We don't know why he resurrects. We don't know why you can shoot him 5 times and he gets up. I don't know. But do we need that?
No.
Do we need a midichlorian sequence in Halloween? Well, you see, if you look at the cells here under the microscope, Michael's cells seem to regenerate at a rapid pace. Do we need that scene?
Nope. No.
I don't really care. Do I care why the shark came to Amity? I don't. I don't care. I don't care why it showed up. It took a wrong turn. I don't know. It came in, found out that the food was good. I don't know. The shark is doing shark things. We don't need an explanation. You know what I mean? So it's like, anyway, look, the movie made money. That I guess, is all that matters. And everybody's entitled to like what they like. It's just simply, I look at things differently when as a filmmaker who is out there trying to get money for projects, and you see some of this stuff getting made, and you're like, how the hell did anybody secure money for this?
Yeah.
But certain ones, look, Halloween 2 was going to be a hit no matter what. You could have filmed Michael Myers sitting on a toilet reading the phone book for 90 minutes, and it would have made money.
Yeah.
Right? It would.
Right.
Because everybody was going to turn out to see, just like Jaws 2. They knew Jaws 2 would be a hit. That's why the production went over. And so that's why, Jaws 2 ended up costing, I think, like $50 million
Yeah.
to make that. But they knew. They're like, all right, it went over, but fuck, this thing's going to make money anyway, so fuck it.
Yeah.
And with Halloween 2, Tommy told me. They handed him the script. He read the script, and he said, I turned it down. He said it was everything that Halloween wasn't. And he said, but I knew I was shooting myself in the foot because this movie is going to make money. But I was a gun for hire. That's what he was told. Look, don't get any ideas of being creative here. Don't get any ideas of changing the script. This is what it's going to be. Take the paycheck.
Yep.
But fans don't want to hear that. Then they get angry. They take it personally. They think, you're attacking something they love. It's just simply, I always say, audiences should demand better of their entertainment. I really do believe that. And when we just expect, lame sequels or whatever, that's why I was glad to see that Blumhouse was going to make Halloween, because they're not going to let a bad movie get made.
Yeah.
They're going to do it right. And from what I'm understanding with the advanced screening and stuff like that, they got it right.
Yeah.
They took the time. We'll see, right? We don't know.
Yeah.
We'll see when it's October. But, I think it sounds pretty good to me. Look, the trailer alone for me, I see it just based on the trailer.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be really good. I really do.
Yeah, me too. I do. I'm looking
Yep. So how did you get discovered?
What do you mean, discovered, like, to make my first film?
Yeah.
I had an independent financier who wanted to make a movie. He had some money burning in his pocket, which are always the best ones, like he wanted to make a movie, and he came to me because he heard I knew about film and I wanted to be a filmmaker, and he heard I would do a good job, and I did. I produced and wrote The Field, recorded Leeson and Harry, and it kind of went from there. He took a risk on me, and he did well with it, and here I am 6 movies later, doing my thing.
Mm-hmm. How'd you meet Felissa Rose?
Oh, I met It's a funny story. I was on the set of 6 Degrees of Hell, and Fangoria was interviewing me.
Mm-hmm.
And the interviewer said, "Hey, what do you got coming up next?" And I said, I got this slasher kind of like summer camp movie that I'm developing, but I would only do it if I can get Felissa Rose because of Sleepaway Camp.
Yeah.
He goes, "No kidding." He goes, "Well, I know Felissa Rose." I said, "You do?" He goes, "Yeah, you want her phone number?" Like, no, but if you could do an email introduction between us, that would be helpful. I'm not a crazy stalker pitching her a movie. And he said, yeah, I'll set it up, and that's how we met.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. We've been partners ever since.
Wow, yeah, I met her 2 years ago at a convention in Sacramento, and I went to go see her at Dark Delicacies last year in Burbank and stuff. I pitched this script idea that she just completely flipped for, but you know her, she's super busy. I haven't heard from her in like a year and stuff.
She's not only just super busy, she's super mom as
Yep.
well, too. She has 3 kids who are 3 of the most delightful kids I think I've ever met, and I'm not a fan of kids. I just say if they're great kids, they're great kids. And, and she's doing, a number of projects. And, but, she's also one of the most accessible horror stars I think out there. She's very giving to her fans.
Yes. The most giving I've met so far. And hopefully we're going to do an interview soon. She's so busy that she's had to cancel on me a bunch of times this year, but hopefully in the future we'll get to it.
Well, we'll make sure she gets on there. Maybe, if I have to, I'll come on there with her. I'll drag her on, so that way she's definitely there.
Yeah, that would be great.
She's truly one of the kindest people I've ever met, and very, very loving and very giving and appreciative of her fans. She really is.
Yeah. Oh my God, she's just a national treasure, that lady.
Yep, she is. She's one of the nicest people I've ever known.
Mm-hmm. How did you get lucky in directing Death House?
Well, I was approached by Michael Eisenstadt, who was Dee Wallace's agent, and she was in Zombie Killers.
Right.
And Michael had been developing Death House for some time, and he was presently at that time developing it with Rick Finkelstein and Stephen Chase of Entertainment Factory. And they came to a screening of Zombie Killers, and Michael brought Rick with him, saying, I think this might be the guy that could help really give this project a kick in the pants. And that's how it all happened. Rick liked me, and I ended up meeting with Gunnar. We sat down, and Gunnar admitted that the script needed work, and it needed a total page 1 rewrite.
Mm-hmm.
I made sure that all the things Gunnar wanted in the film stayed in the film. And, this is the whole irony of it, though, or the real sadness of it, is I didn't know Gunnar was dying.
Mm-hmm.
He never let on. He never once said, I'm sick, I have cancer. Not once. You would have never known. And what a shame, because he was such a kind man.
Yeah, I remember when he died, I remember hearing through the grapevine that he had this pet project that he was trying to get made and stuff. And then when I started going to conventions 2 years ago, that's when I heard about Death House.
Yeah, that was his pet project, and we brought it to life, and it's done very well, and the attention to it has been fantastic. The reaction to it, it's just great.
Yeah, I want to see it, but where is it available?
Well, it'll be out on video and VOD starting in November, and then DVD and Blu-ray in December.
Nice. It hasn't made like Netflix or any streaming companies.
Oh, it will be. Yeah, VOD. That's where it'll go first.
Nice, nice. Was the movie super expensive with all those names in it?
No, no, not at all. I mean, it's not that it was cheap, but the names did not gouge us because they were all really very generous in the way of, saying how much they wanted to do this for Gunner. So they kind of all had like an equal pay footing kind of thing. But they were just all very, very generous people, and they were doing the film for the right reason.
Right. What do you think about horror movies today having, or just independent films in general today just having trouble with distribution?
What was that? You dropped out?
I said, what do you think about both, independent horror films and just independent films in general having distribution trouble?
Well, I think. Hang on 1 second here.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on. Okay, I think we're good. I don't know. There's the problem that we really have out there now is there's too much content.
Uh-huh.
There's just too much stuff out there. So distribution is like, you got to really have something that's going to light fires, or it gets relegated to something else. That's the problem.
Mm-hmm.
So even if you could have a great film, you really need to get something going distribution-wise, whether it's a name or it's a high concept or something like that. But the problem is it's too much content.
Mm-hmm. I think that there always has been too much content, but now it's more prevalent because you got all these options. You got 600 channels. You got
Exactly.
streaming.
And people don't want to devote the time to it. If you think about it, people have Netflix. I'll bet you most people listening would say, "Yeah, I watch about the same 5 things every time I get on Netflix."
Yeah.
So you don't want to sit there and invest the time into something if it's not going to be good, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there's other stuff I can move on to. Back in the day of HBO, or whatever cable service you had, it was like, well, if I don't watch it tonight at 9 o'clock, it's not going to be on again for another week. So yeah, I guess I better watch this.
Yeah. Yeah. I just it's funny because I've been a devoted movie buff my entire life. Watched movies on every channel. VHS, DVD, go to theaters, everything. And then there was a period where I wasn't watching too much new stuff. And then as soon as I come back from having an accident and I decide that I'm going to pursue the business, the next thing I know, this whole thing with independent movie distribution hits me like a ton of bricks. Like, I don't know, when did it start? Like around 2010 or so?
I would say that, yeah, right around there. Once the internet got up and running, and video compression and everything like that could work, where you could upload movies, and you know what I'm saying. Like once the technology caught up with the idea. So yeah, I'd say that's a fair amount of time, right around there.
Yeah, oh my God, and a funny thing too is that the whole independent film market now is just in general is just in trouble, especially now with the whole Harvey Weinstein thing. Because let's face it, I mean, he was the gatekeeper to the independent film scene because he made it very successful in the early '90s.
Well, he did. But there were other indie pioneers. There was Carpenter, there was Romero.
Of course.
Harvey, yeah, everybody took a hit when Harvey fell from grace on certain things, but let's face it, Harvey was also more worried about spending, $50 million to get Oscar nomination campaigns, and you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I think the indie market is still there. I think its real danger is really being, clobbered by the amount of content that people. The issue that I think I have is that just because you have a video camera and Final Cut Pro, that doesn't make you a filmmaker.
No.
And everybody now thinks, well, if you can shoot it on an iPhone, well, then I'm a filmmaker too. No, you're not. Okay, no, it takes art, it takes talent. You still need talent to do it,
Yeah. I know people have said to me, they've said, why don't you get somebody to like get an iPhone and shoot your movie? And I'm like, how the fuck do you shoot special effects on a fucking iPhone? You know?
Right. Yeah, I mean, those stories are great when they pop up on the internet. Oh, somebody shot a full feature on an iPhone, or Barry Sonnenfeld did it. And, well, yeah, because he's Barry Sonnenfeld.
Yeah.
Sure, he's going to do it. But let's face it, no studio is ponying up money to distribute Barry Sonnenfeld's iPhone movie.
No.
Okay? He's doing that because he can.
Yeah.
All right? That's like, Andy Warhol painting a Campbell soup can or something. You know what I mean? Like, you can do it because you can. And maybe somebody will take interest in that, but I don't know. I don't even know the title of that movie. How popular is it? Did it get picked up by Universal or Paramount? No. But, then people see these articles and go, well, I can do that. Well, you can. It doesn't mean you should, and it doesn't mean it's going to do anything.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody jumped on the found footage thing after Blair Witch. Oh, I can do that. It actually took some talent to do that. There are a lot of crappy found footage films out there.
Yeah. I haven't even...
And I don't care what anybody says. Blair Witch was effective. It did its job.
Yeah, I haven't even seen a movie that was shot on an iPhone, although I did see a music video that was, and it actually could have fooled me. It looked like it was a professional music video.
Well, I'm sure it did. I mean, look, these kind of things, the equipment that we have in our hand right now. I was shooting movies as a kid on a silent Super 8 film camera.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So the technology is definitely better.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't mean that you can make a gigantic, feature film that's going to do, Star Wars type business. I love when people come up to me, I'm going to go shoot this movie for $20,000. It's going to make $400 million. No, it's not. Well, Paranormal Activity did it. No, it didn't. You see, Paranormal Activity was indeed shot for $15,000. But what they don't tell you is it was picked up by Paramount, and then they put about $2 million into cleaning it up, putting in CGI, doing all that stuff, sound design, and then they gave it a $50 million marketing campaign. So when you hear that, then suddenly it's not like, oh, I could just go out and spend $10,000 and have a $400 million franchise. No, you're not.
Yeah.
You will if somebody else sinks millions into it, and we're talking tens of millions. Paramount rolled the dice. They spent $50 million on that Demanded thing, which was all bullshit.
Yeah.
And they were going to send it to your town anyway. They just collected years' worth of demographic data. That's all they did.
Yep.
Free. People willingly gave their data over. And then, they put $50 million behind it, and it worked. Paranormal Activity spawned. I can't even tell you how many sequels and spin-offs or whatever. It did well. It paid off for Paramount. Smart move.
Yep.
But, don't fool me into thinking that, look, I know for a fact that Paranormal Activity floated around Hollywood for at least 2 years. Nobody wanted it. Because I know 2 distributors who turned it down because it was such a piece of garbage.
Yeah.
And they said that. Those were their words. Because I said to the one, I said, how does it feel to be the company that turned down Paranormal Activity? And the guy said to me, I'll stand by it. The movie's a piece of shit.
Yep.
But when you sink $2 million into it to clean it up, add some special effects, suddenly that story of, the little guerrilla filmmaker who could, suddenly it doesn't all sound too good. Suddenly you realize, oh, wow, you kind of cheated. It's like the kid in school that says, oh, I'm going to graduate and get you meet him at your class reunion, and he's a millionaire, whatever he did, and then he's making him out to be that he's a self-made man, and then you find out later that he cashed in on all his father's contacts. Daddy helped him get where he is. But he doesn't tell you that. Well, that's kind of like Paranormal Activity.
Yep, absolutely. Who would you say has influenced you the most in horror in terms of directors?
I'm going to say John Carpenter. But Tom Holland also was a big influence, both for his writing, and I love the way that he handled Fright Night. But John Carpenter mostly because of his formula, and that is he found good people, and he hung on to them. His best movies were when he used the same cast and crew.
Yeah.
He had a great formula going. Dean Cundy is DP. You have Kurt Russell, you have Tom Atkins, you have Jamie. All those people in there, it all worked.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, when I was growing up, my two horror guys were Carpenter and Romero, because I don't know, they just had the best writing, the best casts, the best portrayals of how dumb authority figures could be. There's something about their movies that are just magic and so special to this day. You know,
Absolutely.
they're just the best. You know. So, do you have any upcoming movies you want to plug?
Yeah, well, I mean, not to plug because, look, until money moves into place and all of that, it's bullshit.
Of course.
I'm not one of those on an interview to go, oh, I'm developing this, and then I'm developing that. And then when they don't happen, people go, what about that movie you were supposed to be doing? So I have several projects right now where the ball is deeply in play, where I'll probably be directing in December down in Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
That is always possible. I have another great supernatural piece that may be going in Puerto Rico. And in addition to that, I just optioned the rights to the bestseller Spilled Milk, which is a true story, a dramatic story of a girl who survived and prosecuted her father for sexual abuse.
Mm-hmm.
So I had just finished the screenplay on that, and it's in the hands of a couple big A-list players, and we're going to see where that goes. So there's a lot of stuff in motion.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Do you ever do conventions?
Yeah, I do. When they invite me, yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, I've done a number. I've been at Scarefest, Scaricon, Days of the Dead. I've been all over. Like, if they invite me, fine. I don't invite myself. If they want me, I'll come down.
Yeah. Do you have any? Do you have any that you're scheduled for though coming up?
No, not right now. No, and that's fine. I have so much going on that I don't even know yet. By the time you travel and all that stuff, it's really a lot. But I have a feeling I'll be out on the press tour soon with the upcoming home video and DVD release of Death House. So I think they're going to probably be trotting me around quite a bit.
Mm-hmm. Maybe they'll invite you to Dark Delicacies in Burbank.
Oh, I'd love to. I'd love to have the honor of sitting down there to sign a few DVDs. Just so many great people have passed through there, so that would be cool.
Oh yeah, absolutely. When I went last year, when Felissa...
The owner of Dark Delicacies has a cameo in Death House. So.
Oh yeah?
Yep.
That's cool.
Yeah, we gave him a cameo.
Oh, that's really cool. Well, Harrison, I hope our paths cross in the future. And
me too. This was a great interview, and thank you for the time. I really appreciate it.
Oh, my pleasure. This was very cool.
Good. Well, yeah, I've always loved talking film with people, so thank you. And I know I come across as a little opinionated here and there, but it's just passionate is what it is. I love the medium, and I really hope that it just continues to thrive.
Well, I had heard the other interviews you did, and I thought you were pretty entertaining. So, no, I thought that's exactly why I wanted you on the show, because you're very entertaining. So, no, you did great.
Great. Well, I hope you get great feedback from your viewers and audience and listeners. So let's see what happens and keep me posted.
I sure will. So, happy Halloween, and you have a great day.
You too. Thanks again.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Well, there you have it. Harrison Smith. Ain't he a cool dude? Thank you so much, Harrison. You were a lot of fun, really entertaining, really funny. You have great opinions about horror and stuff. And I really appreciate you coming on today and kicking off our Halloween October month. If you like this video, everyone, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Add me as a friend on Facebook. Join my Tommy Kovac comedian page on Facebook. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram and all that fun stuff. Well, that's all the time we have this week on Splat from the Past. Until next time, this is Tommy Throwback Kovac saying, there's no shame in living in the past because the present sucks. Later, dudes.